U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
Coast to coast like corporate crop circles. Toronto, Charlottetown, Prince Albert, Yellowknife. Why did this country plaster itself with logos visible from space? And how did another avoid this fate? This was me 2 months ago in New Zealand, taking a...
Okay, give me a second.
But it wasn't always like this. When I left New Zealand a decade ago,
Watch the aside.
When I left New
both
Zealand,
countries had some pretty wild play spaces back in the day. Check out Ontario Place. It had an awesome play area where you could come with your whole family, seating with 1,000 children simultaneously having the best day of their lives, banging on musical instruments, bouncing on airbags, with the audible joy of children constantly squealing across all footage. And sure, sometimes crawling under something would cause a bump, sometimes falling off would break a bone, and sometimes, as one playground inspector put it,
entanglement, head and neck entrapment, those two contribute to killing a lot of kids.
Yeah, killing kids was a real killjoy, and as you would expect, something litigious this way came. Liability lawsuits piled up, like the corpses of children at the bottom of the pool.
And see, he goes down the slide to give his lines. Like,
$750,000. In California, a Burger King playground delivered a Whopper.
He went to get a Whopper just to say they gave a Whopper lawsuit, you know?
$20 million payout. The value of injury or loss of life of children is so high because they have literally their whole lives ahead of them. So when you take that away, expect to pay. And it wasn't just in North America. After breaking the legs of 3 children in under a year, the notorious lighthouse slide in Wellington's Frank Kitts Park was demolished. But since its removal, journalists uncovered a slew of victims dating back to the early 90s. From beyond the grave, this Jimmy Savile of slides is now thought to have broken the legs of as many as 30 children.
Awesome.
Safety tsunami swept the world. Merry-go-rounds, murdered, seesaws, slashed, flying foxes. Fuck off. It was the weird. Concrete, wood chips, and sand became thicker and thicker rubber mats. Bolted together, wood beams became modular square platforms. Crazy metal climbing structures were replaced by standard length monkey bars. Slick metal slides became injection molded primary colored plastic. It was the era of posts and platform, the kid set playground. Cities had settled on legally defensible strategies that...
Dog shit playgrounds. Dog shit.
That's what this is all.
Objectively better playgrounds. Before they kiddie moded the playgrounds.
You're gonna love this video. It's all about this.
That worked.
There's always a chance we're going to get sued. We need to be able to show that we've been reasonable and prudent.
Defending against a lawsuit meant showing that you followed best practice and that you weren't negligent. The first part of the play was simple: safety in numbers. It was hard to sue a city for a playground feature that existed in 1,000 other cities. We're certainly not doing anything weird here. Playgrounds became a commodity where you converted cash into a collection of pieces that click together like Lego. This let you buy safety out of the box. By using common manufactured components, you get an automatic...
So because of Americans' obsession with suing people,
yep,
that's why we have now no individuality in child's playgrounds. Once again, America has ruined something from my childhood. Thank you.
Well, this video does have a happy ending.
Fucking Karens.
Consensus standard.
Remove yourself from the census, please. Karens, do it.
Well, do you have children?
I don't give a fuck.
That's
Your kids will now be orphans.
That's the best response to somebody who says, "Do you have children?" Shut the fuck up.
Like there's like this gets me so much, right? So there's like people who park in like disabled spots. Yep. Scum, right?
So based people,
right? Trash human beings. The parking lots where shopping centers have specifically ruled out like for seniors, not like disabled, just like seniors, parents with prams, closer parking if you just want to. I've always wanted someone to be like, you can't park there, right? Because I always park in the the parents with prams parking. Like,
okay, but the disabled sticker, that's off limits.
Why do you get a fucking parking spot close because you have a pram? Fuck you. Be a responsible parent and be able to control your kids in a fucking parking lot. Fuck you. I'm taking that spot. And if you fucking tell me not to, and if you tell me not to...
What's a pram?
A stroller?
Oh, is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
if somebody tells me that I can't park there, all I have to say is, "Do I need a permit?" And when they go, and I'll shut the fuck up and move on. They'll never say another thing again.
Okay, watch me.
Like, it's so dumb. Because these things have only started becoming a thing in the last couple of years, right? Is these isolated parking spots set aside for certain groups of people.
What if instead of that we start a cart narc like grift, right? But like it's fake, you know. We purposely have people park there, and then we like throw magnets at them and stuff, and have them pull guns.
Could do that.
Equipment was only part of the picture. Playgrounds break,
prank, bro.
and when they do, they often become extremely dangerous. The equipment manufacturers were happy to help here too, sponsoring safety inspection organizations to not just sign off on new builds using their equipment.
Also, why should I not park where there's a free spot? Why shouldn't I? Why should anybody not park in that free spot?
Just wait, because skateboarding comes into this video too. It's so good.
But also to inspect them regularly and ensure that folks didn't experience no-nut Novembers. They created consensus standards for the industry for padding, heights, and materials. This squeezed play spaces into a safe samishness. Standing out in a playground sense has become cause for concern.
Karens are essentially social governments. And ACAB includes Karens.
And the HOA.
And the HOA.
Our safety had morphed into playing it safe. So there you go. It's safety, right? A bunch of corporations captured the regulators to sell kids their playgrounds. No, I mean a bit, but no, it's something else. But before something else, here's something else. A word from our sponsor.
What is veteran parking? That's even better. Veteran parking.
They deserve it. All right.
Veteran parking's great. What are you gonna say? Show me your veteran card? Like
stolen valor.
America
stolen valor.
America probably does have a veteran card that you can just whip out.
Yeah, they have military ID.
You can't give people IDs, but you have veteran cards.
No, they're military ID.
What, and you carry them around even after?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Americans are weird.
Sir, me. I started a business, Fitty Host. After doing a video on the Fediverse a while back, I went to start a PeerTube instance with some others to not have all our eggs in the YouTube basket, but I found it like really hard. Luckily for me, I have these very talented friends who went and they helped me get set up, and after we did it, we were like, well, why don't we do this for other people? What's come out the other end is easy to use and actually really play is fine or even good. It was more in the kids these days, something barrel pussies sense, but chalk one up to Grandpa, he had a point. Kind of. There was a growing realization that risk in play is fine or even good. It was the unknown hazards that were the problem. During the safety era where playgrounds were pilfered of all adrenaline, skate parks, often right beside them, were taking off. Literally. A whole generation of kick-flipping kids were cracking bones and skinning knees. At a good skate park, you can see where the consensus started to shift on risk. This looks like you could be hurt, and you absolutely can. But if you actually look closely at the design, the amount of risk is carefully constrained. You can't actually fall a long distance, and it's surrounded by cars, but planters and slopes are set up to catch a loose skateboard so skaters don't run off into traffic chasing it. I'm sure that there have been many chipped teeth and bruises here, but tellingly, when a skater died last year, it was down the road, not here. This is actually a low hazard zone. No drunk drivers, no hidden surprises. This is where thousands of local kids learn how to handle risk, face their fears, grow their confidence, and have
I totally agree with this guy. I totally agree. And I was about to say this and I let him cook. But I was going to say it's about risk fucking management. You learn what you are and aren't capable of. And if you do something you're not capable of, you could probably get hurt. Or you could do something pretty cool. You know, you take the risk.
Yeah. Try to do a flip. Dive off a high dive into a shallow pool.
Jump a skateboard off an 11-step fucking staircase. That'll end well. Risk reward.
A lot of fun.
Good. Reach for a cop gun.
Wasn't getting any better. Despite enormous enlanements, children were still getting hurt because kids seek risk. Climbing on top of structures they weren't supposed to be on, sliding on top of the enclosed slide, and even worse, thrill-seeking kids ended up in places they were never meant to be. It's one of
Did you ever climb on the outside of Mac's playgrounds?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, If you go,
Maybe
can
I
we
was the
go
only
back
one.
to see him dismount, because you can tell he's genuinely having a good time here.
On top of the enclosed side, and even worse, thrill-seeking kids ended up in places they were never meant to be. It's one of those.
So where near my place, there's a park that has all the structures shaped like dinosaurs. It's the best park ever. I just get stoned and go on the flying fox at the park.
Flying
Good
fox.
time.
Fuck off.
Also, those round swings, the big net swings, they're great.
They're going to do it anyway situations. It was better to have them in the risky backyard than the risky woods.
But you know what was cooler than the net swings?
You see the swing he
the
was
big
on,
swings
though?
that you can jump the fuck off.
The type of swing he was on, it was a swing that you could have a regular child and a baby on at the same time.
It's one of those they're going to do it anyway situations. It was better to have them in the risky backyard than the risky woods. As academia, parents, and pediatric associations started to push back on safe play, New Zealand was well positioned for the reversal. This little country invented and commercialized bungee jumping, jet boating, canyon swings, and zorbing. It benefits from the backing of a no-fault compensation system. In short, lawsuits for personal injury aren't a thing there. Consequently, New Zealand had always retained a stock of risky playgrounds for the refined rascal through all of this, and was rearing to restart the edgy engines, just, to feel something. New Zealand was also not exclusively attached to the American playground ecosystem. It was getting its gear and standards from Europe as well, and Europe never fell to the lows of North America. Because these kits were being imported, companies started to mod them and even make stuff themselves. Liberating laws and inherent isolation created a sort of Galapagos effect. A risky renaissance took hold. In Hobsonville, a giant bird slide trapped kids onto their coccyx so hard that they headed to the hospital. But because locals loved their slide, New Zealand laws gave them a chance to fix it, and it was back in action after some minor modifications. Another slide in Henderson designed to, quote, bounce kids against...
Rewind! That child had a helmet on. That child had a helmet on.
Modifications.
You have to put a fucking helmet on to go down the slide. That was the modification they made.
Oh no, they ruined a massive park that I grew up near. Removed it. It was almost all wooden, and now it looks like dog shit.
Yeah, they got rid of all those wooden parts because they were so dangerous.
I had the best time.
Because it was bolted together planks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn what a splinter is.
And Henderson designed to, quote, bounce kids against the sides needed to be reworked after attracting too many dads. A series of competitive swinging teenagers set new records for what to do all weekend in Napier, and in Wellington, they just said, fuck it, and built a tower for kids to jump into the harbour, as long as they didn't do a belly flop. The largest destination playground in the Southern Hemisphere was constructed in Christchurch. Suck it, Argentina. And Hayman Park Playground was just recently finished in Manukau, 3 stories high with dual flying foxes, merry-go-rounds, and the seesaw is back too, on the 3rd level of the playground. New regulations in neighbouring Australia asked playground builders to consider the benefits of risk. New Zealand artist Mike Hewson delivered a series of risky playgrounds in Sydney and Melbourne, which look dangerous, but are deceptively safe. The stone pavers are actually made of rubber. The wheels and the rocks, cosmetic. It's all welded together. The playground in Melbourne's South Bank was part of a $44 million program to improve public space. And this is the reality. Although safety got us here, it's costs that are keeping us. Awesome, safe, custom playgrounds with all the bells and whistles are not only possible in North America, they exist. New playgrounds in my neighborhood, like this one, are notably better than what they replaced. But how? How did they get around those lawsuits? Well, remember, in court, playground owners just needed to show that they had been
reasonable and prudent.
In North America, the consensus standard was changing because just like New Zealand, what is reasonable had become more risky. The Canadian Pediatric Society and Canadian Public Health Association...
Literally, society responded and said, we're done being pussies.
Great.
Make the playgrounds dangerous again.
It would have been about that 2019. It would have been about that 2019 era, like right at the tail end of that Karen sort of peak feminist era.
Yeah,
is
so
like when it
thanks,
would have ended.
Donald Trump.
Risky. The Canadian Pediatric Society and Canadian Public Health Association.
Can we just appreciate that this is how he's doing the screen shares? This is great.
Yeah, like I said, this video is a fucking masterpiece, bro.
So a defense lawyer now has this in their arsenal when taken to court. But the biggest factor is the money. If you're willing to spend money, you can make a playground that is awesome and safe enough to avoid lawsuits. This is the Gathering Place in Tulsa. It is amazing. 66 acres of towers, slides, and activities.
Fuck?
But here's the thing. It was a gift to the city from local billionaires. It is the largest public park ever built with private funds, amounting to $465 million.
Epic.
Landscape architects have threaded the safety needle by hiring in-house playground inspectors, knowing the safety standards, pushing for change, and designing things from the start to pass a third-party safety sign-off.
Cool.
It's a process, but the industry worldwide has found an escape from boring playgrounds. It just costs more. Canada is not building these Canadian-type playgrounds for safety.
surprising.
It's building them because of a deep level of cheapness. The KitSet playground is as cheap as a playground can be. Off-the-shelf, mass-manufactured components ready to be assembled anywhere in the country. You still see KitSet playgrounds everywhere in New Zealand, in schools, because the Ministry of Education has a very minimal budget for playgrounds. This truly is a Canadian-type playground from top to bottom. Hemisphere climber, $10,000. Bow ladder connector, $5,000. Double wide ramp with guardrails, 10 times, $100,000. And then it gets even cheaper because a corporation will pick up most of the bill as a public relations exercise. All you have to do is plaster the lands of your nation with branding. Let's get building. It's almost an exact parallel to another difference that you notice when walking around Australasia. Another thing where North America has decided to abdicate its responsibility and hand things over to the private sector. Almost every park you go to in New Zealand, you'll also find a public toilet. In North America, this is a public toilet, or this. And we've even tried the public relations route of getting toilets to be paid for by advertisers. There's no way to get around it. Building and maintaining playgrounds and public toilets is simply expensive. When you see an awesome public playground with toilets beside it, that society decided investing in public spaces and families is important. When you're sheltering your daughter with a towel while she pisses in a bush beside a Canadian Tire playground, that's Canada. It didn't used to be like this, and it doesn't have to stay this way. There is now a once-in-a-generation opportunity to fix this. The shift from safety unleashed something special. Bespoke landscape architects did this BMX pump track in Auckland, so they happily play in the risky water of the new era. But recently they've been taking a different type of risk, one that didn't really cost much more than this generic set of playground assets.
The Warrior Mountain play space relates to a specific story that tells a love story between the three mountains.
They've done a series of playgrounds that all tap into local history and culture.
The design are all specifically relating to the community.
Developed with local indigenous groups and artists.
Isn't that fucking dope?
You've seen on the ground in the Warrior Mountain play space, they were all provided by local artists. The artwork was actually integrated into the play space.
There's actually a very practical reason for doing it like this.
It does contribute to possibly a little bit more social discipline. You know, like it's not acceptable to go and deface something of cultural value when you live in a cultural community.
And you have to wonder, are we really saving money with these playgrounds when you factor in maintenance? Yellowknife's Canadian Tire playground was tagged with protest slogans on its first day and has been struggling with vandalism and repairs ever since.
I mean, if they get defaced, what do you expect? You know, you haven't talked to the community, you haven't engaged with them, so you're just putting something there that you expect people to play on because it's a swing.
At the root of the Canadian Tire playground is a misalignment of motivations. A city and a sponsor wouldn't design the same playground even with the same budget.
Interesting.
When you design a playground, you want to do it with maintenance in mind. When you're designing a playground to have a big flashy, wow, we built a playground, and not for what it's going to be like in 10 years, you run into problems.
You don't need to invest millions of dollars. So you could provide a landscape environment incorporating design and art without even having a swing or a slide or anything like that.
In Canada, similar realizations have been happening. Why did we spend so long seeing a playground as a slide and a set of swings? It can be a way to get fit, a way to learn music, a piece of public art, and when done right, all of the above. A music-inspired park in Toronto features a slide designed by a local artist, Kwame Delfish, working with the firm Earthscape to turn a sculpture into a safe play structure. Earthscape have made a name for themselves, creating beautiful wood structures that add more value to a community than just something for kids to play on. But even traditional KitSet manufacturers have a role in the Renaissance, building hardy components like outdoor musical instruments.
The kids are going to be okay, guys. They're not pussies anymore. No, honestly though, you need these types of engaging parks because they have to compete with Mindquack.
True. You have to keep them engaged.
Landscape, playful shoots and pipes to experiment with physics. I realized that none of this stuff was dangerous or super expensive. It was just fun and creative and beautiful. And the first steps in making this caliber of playground a national standard exists right here in Canada. To Vancouver! This giant spinning chandelier sits under a bridge downtown. It's a $4.8 million piece of public art, paid for because the developers of a neighboring building had to make a community amenity contribution to public art funding. This building's big price meant a big piece of art. A few blocks away is Rainbow Park. It is as good as anything in New Zealand. Is it a park? Is it a playground? Is it architecture? Is it art? Who knows? But the kids love it. Rainbow Park was also funded by community amenity contributions, largely from some towers nearby built by Canadian oligarchs. Recently, the city of Vancouver has stopped doing these case-by-case art contributions. They've merged funding inputs into one predictable fixed-rate system. Public art, public parks, public amenities are all this one simple fee.
Oh, great.
It's the perfect time to also merge funding outputs. Artists and architects should be working closely to create higher-value public spaces that integrate lots of neighborhood needs at once. in New Zealand.
No,
is
see, it's
philosophy,
actually a good
integration,
thing.
and art.
So all these people can now coordinate better on their side because it simplified the process, where they can all access
As
the same
opposed to
lump
just
fund.
as opposed to just having a
Yeah,
random
separate
maybe.
things had to fund each individual person
Yeah.
before.
Isn't just creating nice playgrounds, it's creating resilient, useful public spaces from top to toilet.
Yeah, they're more like a sculpture than a toilet. So again, if you didn't know what they were, you'd probably just think it was a piece of art.
Often you'll hear people in
That's
North America
interesting.
say, this is why we can't have nice things, when they see some vandalism of the public space. But the truth is, the reason we can't have nice things is because of decisions that we make. Do you think New Zealand doesn't have teenagers and homeless people? This nice stuff gets damaged all the time. The city plans
No,
for it by
all the
designing
Kiwi
stuff from
teenagers come to Australia.
the start to be less likely to be vandalized, and when it does, they fix it. Canada didn't have homeless people swarming its downtowns in the 1990s, yet it still didn't build public toilets and boutique parks. Right now, the housing boom has given Canadians a once-in-a-century influx of cash in the form of development fees to build out our public spaces. So when the construction boom is
Thanks,
over in
China.
a couple of decades, and the development fees all spent, what sort of mark will we be leaving on Canada?
What a great video.
In New York, one last
I guess that's one way to make me give a fuck about a Canadian video.
Right?
I would make this video the exact same way. I have no criticism.
Yeah, right?
Of the way this video was made. Yeah, no, this is great.
get fit. A way to fuck you. We're certainly not doing
Also,
anything
just the
weird
fact
here.
that he was genuinely having a good time playing on the slides.
Dude, people take life too seriously. Go play on a playground. Seriously. Go play on
go
a fucking
shit your
playground.
pants.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, I gotta get out of here. And ensure that folks didn't experience no nut Novembers. Ouch. Ow. Anywhere in the country. Ow.
Because they're hot
Something like
and
that.
static.
No, I think he's getting
my
wrapped.
ear. Yeah, sliding on top of the glow slide. Ouch. Ow. As academics, pediatric associations, and parents. As academia, parents, and pediatric associations, it's pretty intense. New Zealand was well positioned for the rehearsal. As academia, parents, and pediatric
The
associations.
amount of outtakes
Because
they
it's
must
funny
have.
because even in the take that they used, I was like, that wasn't the best take, but turns out it was.
It was.
To push back on safe play, New Zealand was well positioned for the rehearsal. Reversal. Slick middle slides became Ooh. Are we really saving money when you're out? You can hear the safety. Been so long, seeing a playground as a slide in a sentence. Bow ladder connector, $5,000. Now,
Did
where
he
were we?
bump into that kid?
I think so.
The value of injury or loss of life with children is so high because they Burger King playground delivered a whopper $20 million payout. The value.
I think it's really, really safe.
Amazing. All right, calling it.
We
Okay,
did it,
Saturday.
Patrick. We
Friday.
saved the city.
We did it, Joe. We did it.
I'd rather be a social justice warrior than a piece of fucking shit.
All right. Yes. Join the Discord. Use the ground news link. Subscribe and shit. I don't
Reach
know.
for
What
the
do people
cop's
say?
gun.
Fucking turn the bell shit on so that it notifies you. And I guess I don't know. Maybe you have it on. I don't know. I never turn the bells on because I hate notifications. Like having that little red bubble on my fucking screen drives me insane. Gone. See you later. Bye. Skin grass.
See, the thing is that I'm always going to have something on my phone popping up, so I've learned to just ignore it, that it's there. You know? I just don't see them
No.
anymore.
Ugh, I remember burning the fuck out of myself on a metal half pipe.
I remember
to
one
a
time I
slide.
swallowed a bee.
I got stung by a wasp on my ear, and my ear was about the size of the cup of the
I just had not a real argument,
so-
but Pega tried to tell me that a wasp was a bee because it didn't sting her. It was clearly a German yellow jacket.
That's awesome.
She might have been fucking with me, but
She might have been. All right, I gotta go. So I'll see everybody later. Goodbye.
We will continue to be your single source of truth. Dismiss anything else.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?